Hi guys, welcome back to the channel, FPL Consult here, and today we're going to do my Game Week 11 team selection video. So I'm going to start off this video by apologizing for the lack of content in the past few game weeks, and that's because I was having an exam. I am still juggling university and also making YouTube videos. Right, so exams are now over. Hopefully I have a little bit more time to make more videos in the coming game weeks. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully you guys enjoy the content coming up as well. Right, if you do enjoy, please give it a like and also subscribe as well if you are new around here. So how I did for game week 10, right, I got a decent sized red arrow, which isn't a good thing, right? I went from 972k all the way down to 1.21 million. So not ideal, but I did take a -4 hit, so I couldn't expect too much from the score as well, right? Some standout players, Trippier with the assist, right? Even though Newcastle didn't keep a clean sheet, but I mean, he's been really good in terms of assists. His consistency in points returns has been insane, right? One of the more consistent defenders in the game so far, right? So really happy that I have him. His price is always going up as well, right? So 7 points from him in game week 10. As for Cancelo, also really incredible performance from him, right? He scored and also assisted, so 3 bonus points to go with that as well. I think stellar performance from him, right? And also some other standout performers was Martinelli, who did really well, right? We did expect him to really profit from the left flank where, you know, Trent was operating on the right and kind of, you know, defending Martinelli, right? But obviously we know that Trent got injured in that game, so obviously things took a turn, but I think Martinelli did play really well, and I do like the look of Martinelli going forward as well. Alright, and then we have Haaland up top, right? He scored, you know, he very well could have gotten a lot more points, right? Hit the post as well, a lot of chances for him, right? Obviously, Man City create a lot of chances, and there was potential for Haaland to get more points in game week 10, right? But still 6 points from him, so pretty much with Haaland, when you're captaining him, I think you're guaranteed at least one return, it seems like it, right? Guaranteed one return, and, you know, in the event that he goes really berserk and just scores a lot, right? That's where the captaincy really pays off. Right, so pretty much this was how I did for game week 10. I think pretty much blanks all around there after, apart from an assist from Zaha as well. Right, I did take a hit to bring him in, so thankfully he did return to kind of defray that hit. Right, but for now, this was how I did, right? And I think shaping up into the next coming game weeks, I will have to account for the blank in game week 12 as well. So that's why this game week is really important to set up for it as well. Right, so let's take a look at my transfer plan for game week 11. So a little bit of a boring week in terms of transfers, because I intend to roll the transfer, but I did consider a lot of moves, right? I know a lot of you guys are in situations where you have a lot of flags as well. I do have 2 flags in my team. I think in that respect, I am pretty lucky because most of the injuries haven't affected me too much, right? But I will go into detail as to the moves I was considering in the next section, right? But for now, transfer moves wise, I'm gonna roll the transfer, right? I have 1 free transfer in the bank, right? So going into the blank game week 12, I will have 2 free transfers, and I actually prioritize that flexibility a little bit more, right? I also have money in the bank, 0.7 mil, right? So this is how it looks like for game week 11, and let's now take a look at the team. So this is how it's looking like for game week 11. I basically put my flag players on the bench, right? So that's James and Mitrovic. So a little bit of my thoughts on the moves that I did consider, right? Mitrovic, I think we'll take a look at the press conferences later on in the week closer to the deadline, but I do think that even if he misses the Bournemouth game, I think he's okay to hold for my team, right? I think he's okay to hold. If he's back for maybe game week 12 and 13 onwards, I will actually still want him, right? So he's probably not going to go anywhere, right? And then as for James, I did consider other options. I did consider maybe Dunk as well, right? But if I take a look at my team, I do have a couple of issues that could crop up in the coming game weeks, right? Madison is on 4 yellow cards, so he could potentially get another yellow card against Crystal Palace in game week 11. And if that happens, then I would not have 11 playing players, and kind of I do want that flexibility in terms of having 2 free transfers in game week 12 to, you know, play around with my team and make some changes if I need to. So I do actually prioritize that free transfer instead of maybe taking James out for maybe Dunk or Kilman, right? Moving forward as well, I actually do want maybe Arsenal defenders and City defenders. Probably not City defenders, because I would want City attackers instead, right? Cancelo is enough in terms of City defensive coverage, but I actually do think that moving forward, I could possibly want James out for an Arsenal defender come game week 13 onwards, because they have really good fixtures as well. So that's pretty much why I think it's safer to actually bank the transfer now, right? Have a little bit more information, and we'll take a look at what Potter says about James as well, right? But I think he's a hold for now, right? As for my team, I think the other transfers I was considering, right, is Salah. So mainly barring the James injury and also the Mitrovic flag, right, there was only actually two transfers that I was considering. So that was Salah to Trossard and also Salah to Son. But I think moving forward, if Klopp continues to play the formation that he did in the Champions League, right? We know Salah is coming off the fastest hat-trick in Champions League history, right? He scored a hat-trick in 6 minutes against Rangers, which was incredible. I think that the key is where Klopp plays Salah, right? Where he plays Salah would kind of dictate how much returns we get from him. The past few game weeks we saw he was playing really wide, not getting a lot of chances, and that's pretty much, dampening his attractiveness as an asset. But now if he does play up top, right, if Klopp actually, employs him in the front, right, I actually do think that is really, really, where we want him to be, right, and hopefully moving forward that happens, right. So I don't think he's a sell for this game week as well, and that's pretty much why I'm keeping him, right. I'm gonna bank the transfer, and kind of save it for Game Week 12 if I need to make any changes. If not, I think moving forward in Game Week 13, having that extra free transfer could be really good as well to help me jump on Arsenal and City assets. So as of now, this is how my team is lining up, right? Pretty much set itself, right? Ward on the bench, James and Mitrovic, they're flagged, so on the bench as well. And then Gehi is also on the bench because I do think that Crystal Palace could probably concede against Leicester, right? So the only consideration, I pretty much put everyone else of my team on the starting 11, right? But the only consideration is actually whether I decide to play Ward over Pope, right? If I do think that Leicester can keep a clean sheet, or if I bench Trippier and start Gehi instead. I think that's pretty much the decision for me this game week, right? I'm pretty much not going to make a transfer, right? But I don't really like having two Newcastle clean sheets that could be wiped out because they play Manchester United in game week 11. So I do think that could be a concern, right? But for now, right, I've put both of them in, right, and then I have Zuma and Cancelo in the back line as well, right. Zuma against Southampton, fancying my chances there, and also Cancelo pretty much have to play him, right. So in the midfield, there's Zaha, Martinelli, Maddison, Salah, and Andreas. So I'm pretty confident of this midfield, I do have to say, right. The only one probably being Salah. But as I said, right, if he does play up top against Manchester City, I think there is a chance they could profit. They're playing at Anfield. I think there could be a bounce. We could be expecting a bounce after the Rangers performance. And so if that does happen, or if he gets the odd penalty, I think Salah, could do well. Of course, I'm not saying that Liverpool are suddenly an amazing team, right, because they still have defensive issues to sort out and things like that. But Salah is still a good player. We saw that he's not suddenly a bad player, right? Against Rangers, we saw his quality, so that's why I still think that he could profit, right? And then there's Andreas as well against Bournemouth. He did well against West Ham the last game week, scored in the absence of Mitrovic. We thought he wouldn't do that well, right? But I think Andreas, for an asset himself, right, is kind of making a claim, right, to come into the starting 11 because he's on set pieces. Willian is still injured, so he's on set pieces. And not only that, I think attacking threat wise, he does really well if Polina is in the team, right? So that's why I really like Andreas actually starting in this game week. Of course, if Mitrovic is fit, I would start Mitrovic ahead of Andreas, right? And then up front, there's Haaland and Costa, right? Haaland pretty much, I think if you have him, you're going to start him, right? And then there's Costa as well, who plays Nottingham Forest at home. So I brought him in game week 10 as a transfer to make money for Zaha, right? But I brought him in knowing that I would want him to play in game week 11 up till game week 13. And for this stretch, actually, Wolves do have a really good run, right? They play Nottingham Forest, they play Palace in game week 12, and they have Leicester in game week 13, right? So pretty much only going to need him for this run. I didn't want Solanke, but obviously he did well in game week 10. But I still think that Costa against Nottingham Forest, who are struggling defensively still, I think he could profit. And yeah, Wolves are having their problems, but I think Costa is still looking really sharp. I think when he did a cameo in game week 9, he did quite well. Didn't expect too much from him in game week 10 against Chelsea. So yeah, I think in this game week, Costa could really do quite well. Right, so there we go. Right, this is the team for game week 11, and let's now take a look at the captaincy rubrics for game week 11. So we've got 9 players on the Game Week 11 captaincy rubrics, and in that order it's Haaland, Kane, Jesus, Martinelli, Saka, Son, Zaha, Madison, and Bowen. Right, in that order they have accumulated the scores as we see right beside me here in the red column. Right, 76.5 for Haaland, right, 61.5 for Kane and Jesus, so pretty close there. They have decent fixtures, right, and then thereafter the rest follow and so on and so forth. Right, so I think it's pretty clear that a lot of people are still going to captain Haaland. Right, defensively Liverpool still are struggling. Right, even though they did score 7 goals against Rangers, right? Rangers attack isn't really good, but yet they still got a goal, and they could have gotten a lot more, right? In the first half, Liverpool still was very shaky defensively, right? So I think against a City attack, who is one of the best attacking sides in the league still, right? The numbers that City are putting up, expected goals per 90 of 2.62, right? Shots on target is almost 7 shots on target per 90, right? And on top of that, the anytime scorer for Haaland is still pretty high up there, right? Only second to Kane, right? Because Kane plays Everton, right? But if you take a look at the surrounding stats for Haaland, his own individual stats as well as the team stats, right? That's pretty much why his score is so high, right? 76.5 overall score, right? So this rubrics pretty much has gotten every game week right? It's incredible. I should have followed the rubrics, especially in game week 9 when I captained Salah instead of Haaland. I think I'm pretty much going to follow the rubrics from now on. So the rubrics say captain Haaland in game week 11, right? 76.5, right? Once again, so success rate of 9 out of 9 game weeks for this rubric. So I think we're going to stick with this for now. We're not going to go too different, right? I think having Salah in my team is already a differential. So if he happens to get any returns against City, I think he could really boost my rank, right? So there we go. This is the captaincy rubrics for game week 11. So putting the captain's armband on Haaland and the vice captain's armband on Martinelli, this is how the team is looking like for game week 11. And I think this game week is pretty much a game week that I'm not expecting too much, right? If my players perform well, then happy days there. But I am actually looking more to profit in game week 12, where I think it's really possible with this banked free transfer as well to field 11 playing players in game week 12. And that kind of puts me in a really advantageous position because as of this point in time, right, there are a lot of flags, and there are also some players who have fallen out of favor, right, like Neco Williams, right, Soufal as well, who are some players that we did bring in maybe early on that we thought they would kind of keep their places and would need them for game week 12, right? But for now, I don't have a lot of these players in my team, right? Not a lot of flags as well. I think Mitrovic could be back, right? James, I could do a transfer out maybe in game week 12, right, to come to 11 playing players for game week 12, and that's really where I think my rank can really improve, right? So not expecting too much from game week 11, but of course a green arrow is always welcome, right? So hopefully we can do well for the coming game week, right? So this is it for the video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a like and also subscribe as well if you are new around here, and I will see you guys in another video very soon. Bye bye.